Hey everybody, Aaron Cowan, Sage Dynamics, and this is the Primary Weapon Systems Mark 1 Mod 2 rifle. The Mod 2 is the latest offering for Primary Weapon Systems in their line of AR platform rifles. It all started with the Mod 0 and then the Mod 1, and now we have the Mod 2. And the Mod 2 has some significant improvements and some somewhat significant departures from the Mod 1 in design. Getting right into it, the very first thing people notice about this rifle is the fact that it does not have a forward assist, and for some people that is concerning. I would ask those people who are concerned about the lack of a forward assist to think back to a time when they actually needed one, like actually needed the forward assist where they couldn't overcome the problem by just simply working the charging handle, and then think about what other rifles out there actually have a forward assist. I think you'll find that the AR platform, most variants of the AR platform, is the only platform that actually has a forward assist. And if you look at the original Stoner design for the AR rifle, it did not include a forward assist. That was something that was added at the request of the Army/Navy. So the forward assist thing, it's one of those self-fulfilling prophecies. People think they need it, so manufacturers continue to put it on rifles. Is it a big deal if your rifle has a forward assist? No, it can still serve a purpose. It actually does do things. But if my bolt carrier group won't close, I probably don't want to force it closed. I probably want to, open the chamber, pull that charging handle back and check to see exactly what's going on. So I wanted to mention that right off the bat because that's usually the first thing that people notice is where's the forward assist? Where's the forward assist? Forward assist is not something you necessarily need. If you feel like you need it, then maybe this isn't the rifle for you, but I guarantee you that there are plenty of ways to do what you need to do and you'll never need a forward assist. For those of you not familiar with primary weapon systems, this is a piston rifle, but it might not be the piston you're thinking of. There's two types of general piston operating systems. There's a long stroke and a short stroke. Short stroke is what's most common. The long stroke piston operates in a I wouldn't say very, but a significantly different way than your short stroke pistons. With a long stroke piston, you know how a direct impingement gun works, right? So round fires, round exits barrel, gas goes into gas tube, comes back down the gas tube, goes into the gas key, which presses the bolt carrier group to the rear and completes and assists in the cycle of operation. The way that a long stroke piston works is pretty much the same thing. Bullet exits barrel, gas goes into gas block, into gas tube, and it pushes a piston, which drives the entire bolt carrier group back and assists in the cycle of operation. So it is what we call gas on metal. Whereas a short stroke piston is metal on metal. Gas drives a piston, which drives into the carrier key. They're two separate pieces. As you can see here with the long stroke piston system, it's more of a long carrier key. So you're not getting the same amount of moving parts or the same failure points as you would with a short stroke piston gun. Now, is it more parts than, say, a direct impingement gun? Yes, it is. But as you can see, those parts are very simple and very user serviceable. Why piston? That's the biggest question I get, because I'm a big fan of quality. I don't necessarily need a gun to be a piston gun, but I do prefer piston guns over DI, especially when it comes to select fire and when I'm shooting dedicated suppressed, which is something I tend to do. Long stroke piston guns like the Mod 2 suppress very, very well, and my personal feeling is if I can suppress, that's exactly what I'm going to do. There's very few reasons for me to not suppress a gun if it is an option. The upper and lower are forged, but as you can see, during the forging process, they took pains to eliminate as much weight as possible, especially from this upper receiver. Now, there's forging and there's billet. What some people don't understand is forging is actually stronger than billet. As any metallurgist or anybody who knows enough about metal will tell you, the forging process produces a much more continuous grain of metal than what you're going to get from billet. So it does give you a much stronger upper and lower receiver if that's something you're concerned with. And it definitely saves weight over billet. Now, billet can look cooler, I guess, if you're going strictly for the aesthetics feel. But I think with the way that PWS did their upper and lower receivers, the aesthetics is definitely there. It's got a really good look to it. I mean, obviously, aesthetics is not on the top of the list of things I need in a rifle, but it is on the list. It's down towards the bottom, but we do like our stuff to look good. So the aesthetics are, you know, pleasing to the eye. It's a very, very cool design, but before that, it's a functional design. You've got a fully ambidextrous lower receiver, ambidextrous magazine release, ambidextrous bolt release. Unfortunately, it's not an ambidextrous bolt catch, which is, you know, it's something that I would like to see in the future. That's definitely something they can do with the Mod 3. But just the way that I do my manual of arms and operation of the rifle, it would be a very big departure for me to get into something like that. But for clearing malfunctions, if malfunctions occur, something like that would be great. That's something that I'd like to see them do on future rifles. It is an ambidextrous safety. Obviously, you can get aftermarket ambidextrous safeties. That's something that you can drop in. My personal feeling on it is it's nice that it comes with one instead of me having to, you know, source one out and buy it from Brownells or what have you. It's already there and it's on the gun. Next, we have their newest improved enhanced buffer tube with the ratcheting castle nut system. This is really actually one of the coolest features on the rifle. I know it's a small thing, but to me it's like, why didn't someone think of this sooner? Why didn't I think of this sooner? Instead of having to stake our castle nut, this castle nut actually ratchets against a detent. You know, it takes the same amount of pressure, your torque specs and what have you, but it's actually stronger than your traditional staking. It's harder to overcome this detent when trying to remove the castle nut than it would be staking. One of the weak points in the design of the AR platform has always been the buffer tube, as far as where the castle nut mates up and getting things timed right and making sure it doesn't come loose after, you know, repeated use and stress and banging around. So as you'll notice if you go on any website that sells AR parts, accessories, one of the biggest categories is going to be buffer tubes and buffer tube accessories to overcome that design problem. I think Primary Weapon Systems definitely got it right with the way that they did this. After that, we have the Pikmod rail. This rail actually is pretty revolutionary. It's the first rail that gives you congruous key mod and Picatinny where you need it. Now, question's been asked to me, well, why do I need a rail that has Picatinny and key mod at the same time? Most of your hard products default to Picatinny mounting, such as your D-balls and your Surefire, you know, your scout lights and things like that. And the majority of your accessories are going to be mounted on the front of the rifle anyway. It's very rare someone who, especially with a D-ball, somebody who uses a D-ball a lot, actually needs the D-ball, isn't going to mount it back by their optic, because that's not where it needs to go. It needs to go as far forward as possible, one, to make it easy to operate with the hand, and two, because if you put accessories in front of it, you run the risk of either your illuminator or your IR laser splashing off of those things, which kind of defeats the purpose of having a D-ball. If I'm running a D-ball at 12 o'clock, which is where I prefer to run it, or if I'm running an IR laser, let's just say IR laser in general, PEC 15 or what have you, a MAL, I want it at 12 o'clock, which means I have to move my light to the 3 or to the 9. Well, the problem with that is if it's a full key mod rail, now I have to buy an adapter, or I have to come up with some other way to get it on there. And well, with Pikmod, I don't. I just use the default mounting system, and if I'm not going to use the Picatinny option on the front of this rail, I can just take my regular key mod accessories, such as my rail scales here, which the Mod 2 does come with a pack of rail scales, and run them all the way up for heat protection. The PWS Mark 1 Mod 1 had 4 gas adjustment positions. Right in here, I can adjust at the gas block. The Mod 2 has 3. So we've got position 1, which is any ammo, no suppressor. Position 2, I can go to position 2 if I'm using a low power ammo, like a 55 grain or something like that, and I'm running a suppressor. And then position 3 is for normal suppressor use to include high power ammunition. So I've got 3 categories that I can really fine tune the gas system to help the gun run its best. Piston isn't for everyone, and that's generally for people who haven't spent time with a really quality piston system. What most people ask me is, well, how heavy is it? They just assume just because it's a piston gun, it's going to be heavier, and that's very true of your short stroke guns. But the long stroke gun comes in right around the same weight of a very comparable DI system because it doesn't add too many parts. This rifle with the 1.2 pound Mark 6 I have on it weighs in at just over 7 pounds unloaded. That's pretty awesome to me, because my personal feeling is any rifle under 6.5 pounds is too light. I like it to be right in there with that 6.5, 7 pound range. So, you know, 6-pound guns are nice, 5-pound guns are nice, but the lighter a gun gets, the more the felt recoil becomes prominent, and that causes, you know, issues that you didn't have with the slightly heavier guns. So as far as weight goes with the long stroke piston with the Mod 2, that's not going to be a significant issue. You're not going to be like, okay, oh my god, this gun is so heavy, because it's just not, the weight just isn't there like some people think it is. I generally don't get excited about ARs. I use them, you know, as profession. I have rifles. I need rifles to teach. I use rifles for self-defense. I use rifles for practice and training for, you know, all my various duties. But I don't remember the last time I actually got excited, like little kid Christmas morning excited. But the Mod 2, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, I can't wait. I cannot wait. And when it came in, you know, when it finally came in, I was genuinely excited to get it. The out-of-the-box accuracy, the out-of-the-box reliability, the out-of-the-box peace of mind that I get from the primary weapon systems rifle, especially the new Mod 2. I already have quite a few Mod 1s, but the Mod 2 is a refinement on something I didn't think needed to be refined. I have no reason to get rid of my Mod 1s, but this is kind of like my go-to gun now because it does everything I need it to do. This particular one is the Mark 114. There are various barrel lengths, as I'll show you here. But the Mark 114 is a do-everything gun. I don't have to worry about NFA because it's pinned, so it is, you know, with the dead air flash hider that I put on it, it brings it to, you know, your legal 16 inches. I can suppress it, and it's still not unduly large like I would get with a 16 or an 18 inch. I should say long. And it does everything. I can reach out and hit where I need to hit. I can work in close. I can work indoors. It does everything I need a rifle to do. So I'm going to continue to be excited about this rifle until the Mod 3. Until 2014, I was not a piston gun guy. I had previously owned one short stroke piston gun, and it turned me off to pistons altogether. I acquired a PWS Mark 116 Mod 1 in 2014, and I was reborn as a piston aficionado. And I've slowly kind of phased out most of the DI guns I have because piston just does everything I want it to do. It runs cleaner, it runs cooler, it runs suppressed. I don't have to worry about significant gas blowback in my face. I can fine tune at the gas tube. There's so many things I can do with a piston gun that I can do with a DI gun, but I can't do them as easily or as well. It does get into kind of the minutia, the argument over, you know, DI versus piston. That's going to be a never-ending argument, especially from people who prefer other variants of weapons, not just the AR platform, such as the AK platform or some of your Eastern European or your Western European platforms. But as far as the AR variant goes, this is the piston. And this is, if you're looking for a piston gun in an AR platform, this is the one you need to get. I strongly believe in not only the quality behind the primary weapon systems in their line of rifles, but the customer service if you need it. It's always nice to not know how good a customer service rep is from a company. If you never have a problem with the rifle, then you'll never find out how good primary weapon systems customer service is. And it's awesome. But we don't ever want to have to make that phone call and say, hey, my rifle's broke. Can I send it back to you? Can you guys fix this? Is this under warranty? So on and so forth. If you do have something happen with your rifle, I guarantee you know primary weapon systems can do everything they can to take care of you, but it's nice to know it's great and not need it at the same time. If you don't have a piston gun in your life, I highly suggest that you get one or get with somebody who has one. If you come to a Sage class, I'm going to have one of these on hand for you to check them out. Obviously, I'm not going to do a sales pitch, but I want you to see that, like, okay, pistons are great, and here's why. If you're looking for a piston gun, this is probably, well, it's not probably, this is on my top of the list of rifles that you should definitely check out. I'm Aaron Cowan with Sage Dynamics. Train accordingly.